Hello, I'm Dave and this is Fiver, out once again for a walk in the countryside. Thanks for joining us. Now today we're at the pretty village of East Knoyle in Wiltshire. It's located about 5 miles north of Shaftesbury, not far from the Dorset border. And we're going to be walking a roughly 4.5 mile figure of 8 route. We'll start with a wander through the village and then head west to Windmill Hill and on to the green, and then back past Cloud's house to the bottom of Wise Lane, and then we'll walk over the A350 to Knoyle Ridge, and after that we'll join a section of the Wessex Ridgeway, and we'll then pass Upper Lee Farm and finally head back to the village, and I expect there'll be lots to see along the way. Now I'm filming in August, the sun's out, plenty of blue sky, it can be perfect conditions for walking. Do come along with us. Okay, well I've parked my car quite close to the church in the village hall car park. Speaking of the church, it's just in front of me here. And it's the Church of St Mary. Now it has Saxon origins, although I think the oldest part of the present building is the chancel, which dates from the 12th century, and it was extended in the 13th, 14th and 15th centuries. The tower was added in 1450 and the church was restored in 1845. So it consists of a nave, a chancel, north and south aisles, a vestry, a south porch and a west tower, and I think it's got 6 bells. Well, right next to the church is the village hall, built in 1908 using a 14th century hall house as part of it. Well, right next to the village hall there's this lovely building. It's the old National School, built in 1872 by Alfred Seymour, who was a 19th century MP who lived at Knoyle House. I think the school was still in use until 1984 and now a private residence. And just opposite the village hall is this lovely thatched cottage. I think it's called Church House. It used to be a church room, I believe, and it possibly has origins to the late medieval period, but it was altered in the 17th century and again in 1938. Well, that lovely building through there is the old rectory, now Knoyle Place. Sort of late 14th century origins with additions in the 17th and 18th century. It was a rectory until 1935, although there is another building called the Old Rectory just down the road. I think that was built in the 17th century, but I think that was actually used as a rectory between 1935 and 1976, but I'm not sure. Well, as far as the name East Knoyle is concerned, well, the sort of Knoyle bit comes from, well, sort of knoll, which is Old English for hill, or perhaps the shape of the hill that's behind the church, which is sort of knuckle shaped. And the parish includes the hamlets of Holloway, Milton, the Green, Underhill and Upton. Well, the village is famous for being the birthplace of Sir Christopher Wren, the chap who basically rebuilt something like 52 churches in London after the Great Fire in 1666. And of course he built St Paul's Cathedral in 1710. Now, he was the son of the rector here and was born in 1632, but not in the rectory that had just suffered a fire, so the family were actually living in a cottage. And that was roughly about here. Well, the cottage was here. I think it was demolished in 1877 to make more room for the road. Now, just over there where the playground is, I think is where Knoyle House was once located, originally built in 1740, I think, but certainly it was extended in 1880. And it was the home of Alfred Seymour, but it was all demolished in 1954. And there was a plaque, I think, up on the wall of Knoyle House that commemorated Sir Christopher. It was saved and is here by the bend. And then almost opposite the playground, Wren's shop, which is a sort of community shop built and opened in 2006 on the site of an old bus shelter when the previous village shop and post office closed in 2004. Just near the playground is the Wren stone, which was carved by a chap called John Main, a local sculptor, carved from Portland stone, which of course is the same type of stone used to build St Paul's Cathedral. And it was put here to commemorate the birth of Sir Christopher Wren. Okay, well, we're now going to sort of slightly head out of the village, up Wise Lane, and then head westwards. We will see a little bit more in the village later on the homeward leg. Oh, what a sweet little brick cottage. I really love that. Well, that's an interesting head on the side of that building there. Wonder what the story of that is. She looks very fierce, doesn't she? I'll continue to make my way uphill, up Wise Lane. There's a place called Church Rails, so we're heading in the right direction. We just need to stick on this little single track road. Well, this is a very pleasant, shady little road. Very welcome. It's going to be quite a warm day today. I've got plenty of water for myself and Fiver, and hopefully there should be some shade along the way as well. Well, you certainly get some cracking views from up here, looking over to the, well, I guess that must be the sort of south-southwest. Beautiful. Oh my goodness. Well, I've been looking forward to visiting this. This is obviously a windmill on Windmill Hill, and there's been a windmill here for centuries, but the present building was put up in the mid 1700s, and it was used for grinding wheat and barley, and it was last used in 1896. And I was reading that the cap and sails were destroyed by a fire which was caused by a firework in 1911, and it was converted to an artist's studio stroke folly between 1913 and 1925, and it's now privately owned. Well, folks, I've just been chatting to the lovely couple that actually own the windmill. They're here today, and they're very kindly said that I could have a little look inside. Okay, in we go. Now, it's very dark in here, so hopefully you'll be able to make everything out. So this is obviously the bottom bit. Oh, there's a lovely view out there. Fiver's being looked after at the moment outside because he's not going to be able to make it up the stairs. Okay, here we go. Up the stairs we go. Ooh. I can just about see. So this is the middle bit. And if I carry on around, carry on to the top bit, and some light. Oh, wow. I keep saying wow, sorry about that. Wow, look at this. A little place to relax. Oh. How on earth do I put that into words? That is amazing. Gosh. Well, just before we leave this ridge, I've got to take another view to take it all in. Oh, it's stunning. Well, this pretty little area is called the Green. A telephone box with a library. Beautiful thatched building over there. And this is the Fox Hounds Pub at the Green. Now, there's been a pub here since the 15th century. Sadly, according to a local I've just been speaking to, it closed up for good a few months ago, so I'm not sure what the plans are for it, though. That's a shame, otherwise that would have made an excellent final destination. This white building here next to the pub is the old chapel, built in 1857, although there was possibly a chapel here before in 1843, I'm not sure. But I think it closed as a chapel well before 1977. It's now a private house. Well, I guess this must actually be the Green. A very peaceful setting it is too. Okay, well, we've finished the sort of top end of our figure of 8, so we're now going to head back towards East Knoyle before heading sort of eastwards. Oh, this is a lovely little shaded part of the walk. It's actually a bridleway. It's going to eventually take us onto a little road again back to the village. Well, just through the foliage there, I can just see the top of, well, the roof anyway, and the chimney of Cloud's house, which was built between 1886 and 1891 on the site of an earlier house that had been burnt down. And I think it's been occupied by a treatment centre charity for drug and alcohol dependents since the 1980s, but I'm not sure. Well, this little area here is called Milton. Some quite idyllic houses and cottages, many of them thatched, with roses climbing up the walls. Just passing a Wise house, quite magnificent stone building, again with roses climbing up outside. Gorgeous. Right, so here we are back at Wise Lane at East Knoyle, by that lovely little cottage that I fell in love with on the outward journey. But here we follow this footpath that goes along the side of it, heading out of the village. We need to cross over the very busy A350. Well, there are some cows in this field, but we're on the far side, so I'm going to keep Fiver on a lead. Okay, we can probably hear the very busy A350 which we've got to cross. The actual road, I think, was diverted around the village in 1996. The original road through the village was actually part of the old Warminster to Shaftesbury road that was turnpiked in 1753. Anyway, we've got to cross it, and we've got to be very careful when we do. Well, we managed to cross that very busy A350 safely. In fact, where I'm standing now is where the old road used to be, and in fact you can still see the road markings and the cat's eyes. So we're going to continue heading, I suppose, eastwards, just along the road for a bit before taking a footpath that'll take us sort of, well, initially south. Aha, that's what I'm looking for, a restricted byway, Ridgewood Park. Just before we go down there, there's something I want to have a look at over on the left there. Yeah, I thought I could see something. You can easily see it from the road, and it's the remains of a lime kiln, and quite a well-preserved one at that. Indeed, if you look at some old maps, there was quite a bit of quarrying around these parts in days gone by. It's definitely that sort of day to make sure we're hydrated. Good boy. This is a little interesting find. It's literally an arch or bridge that goes over the bridleway that we've been following. I have no idea what it's for. It obviously is an old track above it. When I say track, not railway track, perhaps an old drover's route, I don't know. But whoever's built this has put a lot of effort into it. I've just been speaking to a local, and he's not 100% sure of its origin. But of course there were some quarry pits further along. Perhaps it was used to help oh, surely not. I mean, why not just follow the track across the ridge? There you go, a little mystery. Well, another pit stop just to take in this view, looking over to the south. These fields are quite green, actually, considering all the dry weather we've had this summer. So we're going to follow along the side of this ridge with the wood on the left, and eventually we're going to pick up the Wessex Ridgeway. Well, certainly blackberry season, although they're not very juicy. I don't think Logan would have wanted any of these. I'll offer them to Fiver, but he just doesn't. Nah. Well, I'm going to have them. I'll pick some fresh ones for myself. What about that one? I say not very big. But tastes lovely. Oh, sorry about this, but I just have to keep stopping just to take a view. So, yeah, Shaftesbury must be on the top of that hill, just on the other side of it. Whew, it's warm now. Just an update on the route. So we've been coming along this ridge. Now I'm going to start heading southwards, picking up a section of the Wessex Ridgeway, which is that 136-mile long-distance path that goes from Marlborough in Wiltshire all the way to Lyme Regis in Dorset. I think it was established in 1996. Now, just a heads up for folk that might be thinking about doing this walk after watching the video. Just coming down the Wessex Ridgeway here, bone dry at the moment, but I wouldn't be surprised if this gets quite muddy in the winter, just looking at the ground. Well, another update. So this is looking to the north. You can see where we've come down the Wessex Ridgeway. Now, just where those two cyclists are going through that gate, the Wessex Ridgeway actually goes to the right, and I followed a footpath along the side of the field. It was not well used. Could have actually come across this side of the field. In fact, yeah, it does say public right away there. I didn't see that. Oh well, I could have made my life a lot easier. So we just need to cross over this road. There's the entrance to the Summerleys Gallery. I need to look out for a footpath on my right. Oh yeah, here we go. Public bridleway. Oh dear, it doesn't look that well used, does it? Hopefully this will open up in a bit. Oh yes, this looks a bit more encouraging with a gate at the end, and hopefully through this should take us across a field. Okay, so this bridleway should take us sort of, well, westwards back towards East Knoyle, and firstly a farm. I think it's called Upper Lee Farm. Well, I tell you, this is a beautiful part of the world, it really is. I've hardly come across anybody at all today, and when you think it's a Sunday in August, almost had the walk to myself. So this next section of the walk takes us by Upper Lee Farm. And basically we're heading back to East Knoyle, and we've actually got to cross that A350 again. So there's the A350 through there, which we've just crossed, and we're now coming back into the village. This actually looks as though this was an old road. Perhaps one of the old roads that came into the village, I don't know. Anyway, this should say take us back, coming in from the south. Now that house there, Seymour House, I've got a funny feeling this might have been a pub, the Seymour Arms Inn, which was originally called the Bennett Arms, that dated from the 17th century. And it changed its name to the Seymour Arms in the 1850s, but it looks obviously closed and redeveloped, I think. Well, that white house there, it's called the Old Stores, which I guess must have once been an old stores. It's a beautiful little village, and as you make your way through, there are so many quite delightful cottages and buildings, each with their own unique characteristics. And just here on the left, I think this is the old chapel and Sunday school. Now I'm not sure when the school closed, but the chapel fell into disuse by about 1987, I think. Now I think that building over there may have once been a pub, the Black Horse Pub, which dated from the late 17th century, but it closed way back in 1884, although it may still have been used as a post office up until the 1930s. Oh, what a cracking arch. I don't know if it's got any significance, but it's impressive nonetheless. Well, we're back at the village hall. We've got one more place to visit before we finish the video. Well folks, we've come to the end of our walk. We thought we'd do the final scene here by the Fox and Hounds, even though it isn't open. A real shame, I tell you. Well, we hope you enjoyed our walk today. If you did, please do give us a thumbs up and a like, and do leave a comment, and do check out our Facebook page, Dave's Countryside Walks. We've had another super walk today. The weather, as always, it's been quite glorious. So until we meet again, thanks for watching, and cheerio. There we go. Right, we'll have to find a pub on the way back. Good boy.